Okay. So today's topic is exception handling, which is very important in the real-time perspective, I can say. And it's very easy topic, I can say. Very, very, very easy topic in Python. Okay. It's not a difficult at all. Okay. So what is exception handling? So what kind of errors we get in Python code, in a typical Python code, I can say. So not only in Python, in any programming language, like you may get these three kind of errors actually. One is compile time errors, second one is logical errors, and third one is runtime errors. Okay, so in which errors actually we can introduce like exceptions are related to which kind of errors that we are going to understand. Okay, so first one is what is compile time errors. Let's say you're trying to write actually. Let me try to create a new file. Hmm. Okay, so I'm just writing intentionally. I'm writing P capital here. So within that, I'm just writing here. Hello. I'm just writing like this. So will this get executed actually?
No,
So no, P is capital letter. Okay, that's what it is saying. Was print command P with capital letter is not defined in Python. You please try to change it. So these kind of errors, or let's say print is correct only. I'm just missing this open parenthesis here. Closing bracket, I'm just missing here. Or let's say I'm keeping this one and I'm just missing here. I mean, I'm just telling you simple example here. Okay, so let me execute this one. See, it is saying that, okay, you did not close that double quotes here. So these kind of errors, we call it as actually compile time errors. That means while compiling the code itself, it will try to analyze that and it will throw that errors. All these are predefined inside the language. These kind of errors actually predefined in the language. Okay, so that kind of errors we call it as a compile time errors. Okay, so next one is yeah, this is also one type of error. So I'm just trying to create a function here, define greet, and I'm not following any indentation here. You guys know what is indentation. So you just need to, next line actually, you just need to give tab space here, or two spaces you need to give, but I did not give here intentionally. So this is also one of the compilation error. So these kind of errors, we call it as a compile time errors. Okay, next time. Next one is logical errors. Logical errors are purely related to user or programmer, I can say. Okay. So logical error occur during the execution of the program when code runs successfully, but produces incorrect results. Okay, let me tell you an example. I'm just trying to write a function for calculating the area of the circle. Okay. So what is the formula for finding out the area of the circle? Length into breadth, right?
yes,
Or like rectangle, oh sorry, or rectangle, or
square.
square. So for those I'm just trying to find out actually area. So if at all if you want to find out the area, I know the formula is actually length into width or length into breadth, but I intentionally I mean by mistake I've given plus here. So is it like this is given by user, this is given by purely mentioned by user. Okay, and if you try to execute this one, you'll get the result. There is no issue with the code. There is no issue with the code. But logically, programmatically, this is correct. But logically, it is wrong. These mistakes generally, who does that? Programmer does that, or user does that. Okay, these kind of, okay, if you do these kind of mistakes, actually, you'll get incorrect results. That's it. Incorrect results. Logically, logic is wrong, actually, here I can say. Program is correct, but logic is wrong. So these kind of errors, we call it as a logical errors. So we have to correct them actually. Okay, this is also fine. Okay, and compile time errors, you guys know, generally, if you do any syntactical mistakes, right, you will get compile time errors. Logical errors also we know. Now, the next important one is runtime errors. Okay, so let me tell you a simple example here. So let me write a program here. N equal to, I'm just trying to write it here. Int of, I'm, oh, sorry. Int of, I need to take the input from the keyboard, guys. Now come and help me. Int of input of, uh, come and help me. Within double quotes, I'm just writing here, enter any value. I'm just giving like this. Okay. Now what I will do is, just I'm saying result equal to 10 divided by n. This is what oh, sorry. Result equal to something. You can take any variable name, not only result. You can take anything here. Okay. So this is my program actually. I'm just trying to write it here. Let's say 2 I'm taking here. I wanted to take the input from the keyboard and I have to pass on that value to the division operator here. Okay. And based on that result, I'm just trying to, okay. Okay. Let me
Print result.
print of result. Yeah. This is what I wanted to write. Okay. Now after that, now see. Okay. Now let me execute it one more time. Now 2 I'm passing here. See 5.0 I'm getting here. So program is absolutely right. Okay, absolutely right. The result is also correct actually. But by mistake, sometimes what we do is, if I try to execute, if I give 0 here, then what happens? 10 by 0 is valid. Something by 0 is what? Something by 0 is what? Infinite, right?
Infinite.
Okay. Now see, what is that error you're getting? So it will not show infinite. Mathematically, that is infinite. But programmatically, we have to call it as a zero division error. It cannot display that infinite right here.
Mm.
So that is the reason why programmatically they defined that as an error. So they are saying that zero division error. Anything cannot be divided with 0. In the denominator, you should have 0. You should not have 0. That is what they are trying to say here. See, these are all runtime error. Sorry. These are all runtime errors actually. Program is absolutely correct. No issue with that one. No syntactical errors. No logical issues at all. The only thing is when you try to handle with the multiple values here, so sometimes user may enter invalid input. So at that time, we'll get these kind of errors. These errors we call it as a runtime errors. Now we have to handle them carefully here. We have to handle them carefully here. That is what I'm trying to mention here. Okay. So runtime errors occurs actually while program is running. This is occurring while running the program, or like after like before running the program only. After running the during the execution, we are getting this error. That's what I'm trying to mention. These errors typically happen when code encounters an unexpected situation that it cannot handle, like dividing by 0 or accessing a file that does not exist. Let's say I am trying to read the data from the file, which does not exist. If the file does not exist, can it read the data? It has to throw error, right? What it has to say, hey boss, the file does not exist. That we call it as a programmatically file not found error. Programmatically, the program is correct only. Okay. So, but if the file is not there, if the file is not present in the desired location or the input location, then you'll get that kind of errors actually. Uh, so that is what I'm trying to mention here. Okay, we need to handle that one actually. I'll tell you how to handle that one. We have to handle these kind of scenarios actually with the try and except blocks. Okay, we'll try to understand one by one here. Okay, some more examples I'm trying to give here. Let's say I'm trying to print division by error we have already seen, right? Just now. Let's say I'm trying to print a variable which does not exist. You guys know many times we got this error while executing the program. Okay, let me try to execute that. Okay, so my string is print of my string is a variable, but I did not define this variable actually. I did not define this variable anytime. Okay, so let me try to, if I execute this one, it is clearly saying that name my string is not defined. Name my string is not defined. Okay, that is what it is giving here. This is also one kind of exception actually. Program is correct, but while executing, it encountered that issue. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to mention here. So performing operations on incompatible data type. Let's say I wanted to perform concatenation operation between this variable and this variable value. So 100, if you try to, can you concatenate 100 with hello world here? No, you cannot, because you have to convert this into string format. Then only you can concatenate with these two strings. Okay. So one more thing. Let's say I have defined the list like this. I'm trying to access actually out of index value. You guys know, I told you already many times. Well, when I was explaining about the list, actually, I told you when you try to when I try to pass here, or when you try to access more than the length of your index, you'll get index out of range error. So that is what I'm trying to say here. This is also runtime error. Okay. Now, file not found, which is commonly used one actually in real time. So you'll give file path actually, and you'll try to open that file which does not exist. Okay, in a read mode or write mode, whatever the mode it is. Okay, so then you'll get file not found error actually. Okay, if you want, I can execute the same piece of code here. Okay, let me try to execute this one. See, if you try to execute this one, see it is clearly giving file not found error. Currently, I'm not handling anything here. I'm simply writing this line. That's it. I know this file does not is not there in my local. I did not mention the path also properly here. I'm simply asking Python to open this file in a read mode. So since file is not there, it is giving this error. These are all some of the examples of the runtime errors, I can say. Now, where this like exception concept came into picture now, that we need to understand here. Okay. See, try to understand here. When you try to execute this kind of command program, I can say, when you execute like this. Okay, let's say this is my program actually. Okay, x equal to int of input of enter any number, result equal to 10. Whatever we have written previously, same thing only. Result is result. So whenever you pass 0 here, whenever you pass like x value is 0, what happen here? Okay, first it will try to execute this line. Okay, next it will come to this particular line. So 10 divided by 0 it is executing here. This line, while executing this line actually, backend it could not able to execute this 10 by 0, so it has to throw exception. So that means program is program is getting interrupted in this line. Whenever the program is getting interrupted in this line, will Python execute the next line as well? Will Python execute the next lines?
No.
No. So that's what we call it as a abnormal termination of the program. Abnormal termination. Whenever there is a like exception, whenever Python is not able to hand a piece of code or line or a line, then it will simply come out of that line. So that we call it as a abnormal termination. Okay. So if I try to execute this one, see here. So it is executing up to first line only. And after that, actually, it is throwing error. Okay. Now, this is nothing but your exception. Now, program is actually rising exception. These runtime errors, we call it as exceptions. Now, you got the meaning of exception here? Clear, everyone? Runtime errors are called as exceptions. Whenever any exception is raised by Python, the program will not continue. Program will be interrupted at that particular line, and the abnormal termination will happen. The following lines will not get executed. Okay, so that is nothing but your exception meaning. Okay. So of course they'll give some meaningful message. Based on that only we have to correct that, and we have to proceed. Okay. Now, so what is exception? Every runtime error in Python referred as an exception. This is what I was telling you. Every runtime error in Python is referred as an exception. Okay. So when a program encounters a runtime error, it raises an exception. It raises an exception. Okay. Now moving on. What happen when an exception occurs actually? What will happen in the program? Okay. The first point is program execution terminates abnormally. This is what I mentioned. Program execution terminates abnormally. This is the first step will happen if it encounters any exception. And next, program exits the execution. Will it execute the following lines? No, no way. It will stop the execution in that line itself. It will simply exit that execution. And last step is actually technical. It will try to generate Python virtual machine generates that related exception message, error message, I can say. The runtime error message it will try to display. So whenever any exception occurs or any runtime error occurs, actually, these three steps will happen actually. Okay. Any Python program. In any Python program. Okay. Hmm. Now, what is exception handling now? See, sometimes actually I may give that invalid input, maybe intentionally I may give that, or like unintentionally also I can provide that zero value. See, this is just a simple example I'm trying to explain here. See, sometimes if you talk in terms of real-time prospective, right? So every time I cannot give any guarantee that we will give only the right file paths. See, we'll think that, okay, the files are arrived in that location and we'll pass that path dynamically. We'll try to pass that path. But sometimes source may not be sending that files. Let's say every day you're getting some files into some S3 bucket location or some ADLS Gen2 location into Azure or into AWS. So every day that is expected. On one day, source did not, because of some reason, source did not send any files. But you started executing the program. Then what will happen? Then what will happen? It will raise an exception, right? It will not execute the program properly. It will raise an exception. Now we have to handle those actually. See, if the code is getting terminated, we will not come to know anything. We have to handle it properly. So that handling is nothing but exception handling. Okay, let me tell you a good example here. So good example. See, you have to handle these exceptions using try and except blocks. Try and except blocks. Try to understand that one. Okay. So the whatever the piece of code that may raise the exception, may not be now, but in future it may raise the exception. So simply I can call it as, in your terminology, I can call it as it's a risky code actually. That risky code, we need to put it in try block. This piece of code may raise the exception. It may or may not. Consider it may raise the exception. That we need to put it in a try block. Okay. So I know that what is the possible error I'll get here. One is zero division error. Let's say enter any number I'm giving here, but one of the user doesn't know how to enter. Do we need to enter directly a numeric number, or he may enter that number in like alphabetical way also? Like let's see if it is 2, if he wants to enter 2, he may give the input as TWO2. That is nothing but value error. So there are two possible cases are there. Uh, which may which it may raise an exception. So one is zero division error. The possible exception it may raise is whenever this value is zero, it actually rises the zero division error. Or whenever some users enters like a number in alphabets like TWO2, THRE3, or FOUR4 like that, then at that time also we may get an error. We may get an error because if you enter like TWO2 here, int of TWO2. Can it convert TWO2 into integer? Can it?
No.
TWO is a string, right? Or THRE3 is a string, right? Can we convert strings into integer? No way.
No.
No way. Now we have to handle those scenarios. That risky code always you have to analyze carefully, and the possible errors, possible exceptions you need to handle. That's what I wanted to say here. Clear with this?
Yes.
Okay. Now I know that if you give 0 here, you'll get 0 division error. Okay. If you give TWO2 here, then I'll get actually value error. Value error. Okay. I need to handle that one as well here. I'll handle that one also. Okay. Let me try to write that one also in that case. You need to handle like this. Okay, I'll explain that one a bit later because multiple exception handling. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that. At that time, we'll try to understand. See, so we'll try to handle the exceptions using try block and the except block. In the try block, actually, we need to put the risky code or the piece of code which may raise the exception, that we need to put it within try block, and the we need to analyze it carefully and what kind of exceptions it may raise. Those kind of exceptions are actually we need to raise in a exception block. Now, whenever something goes wrong here, immediately the control will be passed on to the exception block. Because see, the moment it reaches to this line, it will raise an exception. The moment it rise an exception here in this block, immediately the control will be passed on to the exception block. So in the exception block, it will check actually that corresponding exception is handled here or not, whether it is zero division error or something else. What is mentioned here, that is what it is going to check. If the corresponding exception class is matching here, then it will try to come to this loop or come to this block, and it will try to execute display this error message. So this one we call it as a handling code, exception handling code. If this one occurs, actually you're handling nicely that one here in the exception block. Now it will not terminate abnormally. It will execute the code gracefully, or it will execute the code smoothly, but it will not terminate abnormally here. That is what we call it as a exception handling. Don't worry about this one, what to write here. For, for now, my intention is to tell you how to handle these exceptions with the try and except keywords. That's it. What is this zero division error? What is that value error? If these two are not matching, what will happen? That and all I'll talk a little bit later. Okay, so till this point it is clear. Any questions that you wanted to ask? Are we good?
Yes, sure.
Okay, now. Okay, you want me to, okay, so how it is executing in the backend? You want me
Yeah, one
to,
question, Shiva, here.
sorry?
So usually we write the print statements, or can we use logging also here?
We'll write the logging, not the print statements. See, just for
Hmm.
demoing purpose, like I'm giving here print statements. In real time, we don't write like this. Actually, we in place of print, we use logging.
Okay.
That also I'll explain definitely. Okay, not now, but maybe in the next class, I'll explain that logging concept. Logging, Logging, logging. Okay. So just to understand this concept, I just given here print statements. Okay. Let me try to execute this command, guys. Program, guys. What will happen? You see here. So let's say I'm giving 2 here. So whenever you give 2 here, what will happen here? You tell me. How the program will execute this piece of code. Now tell me. It will take the input. Okay, so because of this line, it was prompting actually, please enter some value here. It was prompting. So the moment I give 2 here, now it is going to the next line. So it goes to the next line, result equal to 10 divided by 2. So it divides the number, 10 divided by 2 is 5. Then it will come to the next line. It's in the print result, it is printing here. Now, will it execute these lines as well?
No.
No. No, it will execute till print statement, and it will come out from the from that line. That's it. PVM will completely come out of that line. Okay, clear? Because this one is important, guys. If you don't handle these exceptions properly in the coding, in your Databricks coding, then you'll get a lot of like issues actually. Okay. So this is about okay. If I the moment I give here, let's say I'm executing here, I'm passing the value 0 here. Now what will happen here? So did it interrupt the program? The 0 interrupted the program here, program execution?
No.
No. So we have got the graceful exit here. Okay, now what happens here what is the behavior of this piece of code now? So how it is behaving now when you pass 0? Now what is happening here? Tell me. So it will take the value from in this line. It will pass on this value to the x here. So 10 divided by 0. So Python cannot able to handle that one. So immediately it raises an exception. The moment it raises an exception here, will it execute the following line?
No.
No, no way, no way. It will immediately pass the control to the exception blocker. It will not execute the following lines. You write 100 lines of code here, no problem at all. It will not it will not even look into that code. It will not even touch that code. Immediately it will come out of this block and it will hand over that exception to the exception blocker. Except is a keyword here. Except. So since I've handled that 0 division error, then it will try to print that one here. This print message, whatever you're writing here, that it is giving here. As it is. We need this kind of execution actually. Not the abnormal terminations.
If that except
Oh.
in the except you have mentioned already, if this error comes, you just print this error,
Correct.
right?
Exactly. So this is an actually a class exception, one of the exception class actually, which is I'll talk about that one also. Okay, this is one of the exception class also actually. So backend it creates an object with this one. So whenever this object is matching with this one, then it will come to this line
Print it.
and it will print it. That's it.
Okay, even if it does
Exception has
not
to
match,
match with this one, exception class.
yeah, if it doesn't match,
Then okay, I'll talk about that one also. Okay, let's say intentionally, I'll give here TWO. Now, to answer your question, I'm typing here.
yeah,
Okay, so this is value array, I know, but I did not handle that one here. I did not handle that in my code. Now, what will happen here? Now, see, now it is throwing error again.
normal error. Okay.
Again, abnormal termination because it is not matching with this exception class, right? That is the reason it is coming out here. I'll tell you how to handle these scenarios as well. So we have a base exception actually. We need to pass on all these kind of errors to the base except class. That is my next slide, I guess. Yeah, I think I mentioned something. Yeah, so here I mentioned that.
Okay.
Okay. So exception objects. So 0 division error or value error. All those are actually what I can say exception classes. When an exception occurs, Python internally creates an object of the appropriate exception class. So every error belongs to like some class actually. So it creates an object with that class. The object contains the details about the error. That object contains the that error message and all those things. I'll tell you how to print that object bit later. Okay, this is I already have given, I think, here. So except that 0 division error, whenever this class is matching with this one, then we need to give an alias name as E or whatever you want you can give here. Then you can print that one. Okay, this is also one of the way to handle the exceptions. Okay, I'll talk about this one. Different variations are there in the except command actually. I'll talk about all those variations. Okay. Hmm. So this is what value error I was talking. So instead of giving number here, you're intentionally giving the string here. So it cannot, since it cannot able to convert the string into integer, it will try to throw that value error. Okay. Hmm. So remember, in Python, there are some predefined built-in exceptions are there. And if at all, if the built-in exceptions are not satisfying your requirement, you can go ahead and create your own custom exceptions as well, or user-defined exceptions as well. There are built-in functions and the custom exceptions. Built-in exceptions and the custom exceptions are there. Or predefined or user-defined exceptions are there. Okay, what are all the built-in exceptions are? These are all the built-in. I mean, there are some more are there. So only few things I mentioned here. So all these exception classes are the child class of the base exception, guys, or exception. Okay, under exception class, all these are child classes, I can say. Child errors, I can say. Okay, arithmetic exception. Whenever arithmetic exception raised, actually, you may get all these under arithmetic exception. You arithmetic exception is the parent. In that one, actually, all these are childs. So if you specifically mention that one, you can mention that, or overflow error also, or zero division error also. You can write arithmetic exception also there. No problem at all. But arithmetic exception is parent class. This is zero division error is a child class actually. Again, if you ask me like what is class, that is a piece of code again. So all these zero division error code, overflow error code, floating point error code written in this particular class. Okay. So OS errors. So if the file is not found, actually, file not found error you'll get. Or if the file is not accessible, if you don't have like enough permissions on the file, then permission error you'll get. Or if it is keep on reading the file, so after certain point of time, it will give the timeout error. So like that, we have different errors in Python, different inbuilt exceptions are there in the Python. So if any of these things are matching, if you're handling it properly, if any of these classes are matching, then it will try to raise the exception accordingly. Clear with this one, with this diagram? Okay. So some of the this one are like I'm trying to explain here. So let's say value error you guys know already. Let's say attribute error I'm trying to give here. On top of this particular list, I'm just trying to call this method. I know this method is not there, non-existent method. Okay, then what will happen if you try to call this function on top of this one? Then it will say that, hey, attribute error you'll get. Let me try to execute this one here and see what is happening here. If you don't write this one and see what is happening here. If you don't write this one, see what happens. See, attribute error it is giving. Because this method is not there, right? This method is not there. So if you try to do that one, it is giving that attribute error. So if at all, if you want to handle that one, I'm just doing control Z here. See, whenever the attribute error occurs, right, then I'm trying to print this one actually. So let me execute this one and see list object has no attribute non-existent. So this is the, see how I'm handling that one, this is one of the form I can say in exception. You have to write like this, except that attribution, that exception class we need to mention as just an aliasing you're giving here, and you are creating object out of it actually. That object I'm trying to store it in a E. That object you're simply printing that. Inside that object, the error message and all mentioned. So this is what the error message actually it is there inside this exception class. Clear with my point here? Am I confusing or anything you're not getting here? Come on, guys.
No, Shiva. Good. So this error you mentioned E, right?
Mm-hmm.
So without running, earlier we got this error, right? So just we are capturing and saving error as E and displaying that
If
in the
see, if you want to directly print this one without this E, you can print it directly. Okay. Or if you want to specifically see what exactly that object contains that error, then you can write this
yeah.
E that
So that is the system already defined it. Just we are capturing and printing it
capturing that
inside.
one. That's it. Exactly. See, in this one also, Snowflake also, you remember in the catch block actually,
Yeah.
it is
Try
going to
catch.
create that error object. In that error message, error dot message,
Yes.
error dot stack trace text. We used to have some predefined methods, right?
Yeah.
Same way here also. Okay. But sorry guys, I'm comparing with the Snowflake. I'm sorry for that. Okay. Um, Next, moving on. Key error. So let's say I'm just trying to define the dictionary like this, and I'm trying to access the key which does not exist in the dictionary. Then you'll get key error, obviously. Okay. So this is also one of the predefined error, I can say. See, all these errors are like predefined inside the Python. When the language is built, actually, these are defined. Okay. Now, next one is like a module not found error. If you're trying to import the module which does not exist in the Python, then you'll get module not found error. Index error, you guys know already. So if you try to, sorry, where is this one? Index error. So from the list, actually, if you're trying to give the more than a length of that list, then you'll get index out of range error. Okay. So all these are predefined exception classes, I can say. Okay. Hmm. Huh. Now, see, so far I've explained only the basic part. Basic part. Okay. Try and accept are just keywords. I've told you only basic part. But the typical program contains actually may contain all these keywords. Try, accept, else also, else keyword also we can use. Finally keyword also we can use. Rise keyword also. In the exception handling, only these 5 keywords are there. If you understand about all these 5 keywords, that's it. You're done with the exception handling. We already know try keyword and accept keyword. We already know that. Now we have to understand about the else, finally, and rise. That's it. The typical program with all these keywords actually looks like this, guys. Looks like this. The typical program. Okay, now I'll explain this one. So the piece of code that may raise an exception, which you're anticipating, you may get like potential errors in that piece of code, the code that you need to put it in a try block. In your language, it's a risky code, I can say. A risky code, always we need to put it in a try block. Okay, we need to analyze this piece of code carefully. What are all the possible? I mean, you don't need to handle everything. What are all the possible exceptions it may rise? You try to handle as much as possible. Okay, so for that, accept that exception class. So in our case, actually, zero division error. Okay, except another exception class, that is value error. You're trying to handle that one as well. Other than that, if you have any other error, you have to put except actually. I did not mention that one. I have to put that one here. Okay, so let me put that one here. Except, except, uh, small letters only we need to mention. Except, okay. You can put like this one. Here you need to write actually handling code, I can say. Whatever you want. Generic code you can mention here. Okay, the typical program looks like this case actually. Okay, you try to handle the exception classes, whatever you know or whatever it may rise actually, that you try to handle here. And if nothing is matching here, it may, if it is like throwing exception uh, beyond these classes, then it will try to catch that. This except block actually catch that. Whichever you're not able to handle here, that will be handled by this except block. Here you can put like print commands and all, whatever you want, you can handle it here. And after that, else block will be there. What this else block does is, so if the try block executes successfully, then whatever the code you're writing in the else block, that will get executed. Else is optional always. It's not mandatory. It's not mandatory. And except directly try and accept you can write. You don't need to write this. You don't need to handle these things directly. It's not mandatory to handle all the exception classes. If you know it, you handle it. If you don't know, don't handle it. Except will take care of that. Okay. Else is also optional here. So once the try block successfully executes, then it will try to execute that else block. Okay. Now, next keyword that you need to understand is finally, which is very, very important. Okay. I use this one in my real-time programming. I'll tell you the use case also for that one. So what finally does is, in this piece of code, in this block actually, okay, if exception rises actually, what will happen? What Python does actually? What Python does? It will go and check actually, is it matching, the exception is matching with any of these classes or not? It will check if it is matching with this one or not. No, it is not matching this one. Then it will come and check this one, whether it is matching with this one or not. No, it is not matching this one also. Then if it is not matching with these two, then it will come to directly this one, and it will try to like um, it will handle that one here with the handling code. And finally, whether it is raising an exception or not raising an exception, or whether the try block is throwing an exception or not throwing an exception, irrespective of that, finally block will be executed. Irrespective of the exception, the finally block will be executed. Why we have to have that finally block is, I'll tell you the reason also for that one. Okay. Let's say you're trying to read the data from the database. When you try to read the data from the Python code, actually, you'll create a session in that database, and you'll try to read the data from that. Okay. So uh, while reading the data, something happened here. While reading the data, something happened here. Something happened. Then what will happen here? What will happen? It will try to check the related exception classes. If it is not matching, it will try directly come to the except block, and it whatever the handling code you're writing, it will execute that one. Okay. And after that, let's consider final block is not there. Then what happened? The database connection you opened, session you opened, and you're not closing that session. Like that, 3-4 times it has rerun actually. If you're opening the database connections multiple times, and if you're not closing that one, if other person is trying to do, let's say, DML operations, it will say that, boss, all the connections are open, or all the maximum connections are already open. I cannot commit the code, or I cannot update the code data, or I cannot do something. That's what the error it is going to throw. So the moment it raises an exception, it has to close that database connection. It has to close that session. So irrespective of the exception, then finally block that kind of closing the database connection, closing the file, shutting down the logging, all those things actually will handle in the final block. That is what I mentioned here. This is typically used for cleanup actions, like closing files or releasing the resources of the database like that. So code block that runs regardless of whether an exception occurred or not. Now, did you get the importance of the finally block? Now you got like all the keywords in a typical program.
Yeah, sure. Now, I mean,
Mm,
as you
mm,
said, the
mm,
try we find the error and we are
mhm,
catching that exception in the
mhm,
except and we are printing the user with a formal message.
mm.
After printing, again the finally, if you mention that finally, it will run the finally code.
Exactly, correct. The finally black, whatever the code you're writing, let's say db connection dot close
Yeah,
or
understood.
file dot close or logging dot shutdown.
I mean, after displaying the print message to the user,
Yeah,
it will
yeah, yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah. You can write whatever you want in the final block, finally. You can write 100 lines of code also in the final block, no problem. I'm not
No,
saying that only one line of code you have to write. No.
no, just yeah.
Got my point?
Yeah.
Others, did you get my point here? See, the typical Python program with exception handling looks like this. Okay.
But these are not mandatory, right? Only try means we have to use one except is a
If you're
mandatory.
okay, that also I'll tell you here. If you're writing try, definitely you have to write one except, at least one except. But other things are not mandatory. Try combination with except is mandatory. You cannot write only except alone without try, or you cannot write only try without except. Did you get my point? Okay, let me
Oh,
execute that one here. Let's say I'm not writing this one here. Okay, let me execute this one. See what it is saying. Unexpected end of file while parsing. It is clear. It is clearly saying that we need to handle that exception. We need to handle that. We need to mandatorily write that except. Okay, but rest of the keywords are optional actually. Else is optional. Final is optional. It's up to you. At least one except we have to write it. Either this one or this one or this one. If you know that exception class, then you try to mention only you write only these two lines. If you know multiple exception classes, you try to write up to this. If you want to handle it really carefully, then try to write up to this. And if try block is executed successfully, then you try to write it up to here. If you want to close something, or if you want to handle final irrespective of that exception, then try to write up to finally. Okay, let me tell you the good example here with all those things here. Okay, now copy this and put it here. Ah. Now what is missing here? Zero division we are handling here because if you give in the function, actually if you're passing any one of the value is let's say either zero here, then you'll get zero division error. So let's say you're passing something like non-integer values, it will say the type error or value error, whatever it is. Okay. Now, if at all, if you want to handle that else also, sorry, except also here, except, okay, exception as e, okay, now colon, now print of, okay, within double quotes. I'm just trying to mention here. Definitely, I need to mention E here. I know. And before that one, if at all, if you want to, I am in except block. This is what I wanted to write it actually. If it is really reaching to this line, then it will try to display this. I mean, I'm just writing here. That's it. So except exception as all the other, apart from these two, if any other exception rises, then it will try to handle that. This is the parent one, guys. Base exception, guys. So if you're not able to handle something here, you try to handle it. The base exception will handle that actually.
so
Okay.
you mean any exception, it will consider it.
Yes, correct. Because this is a base exception, right? It will consider everything. See, in the hierarchy, what did I tell you? What did I tell you in the hierarchy? See, in your program, if you're getting this one, If you know this one, end of file error, then you handle that one. If you know this one, you try to handle that one. If you don't know, if something apart from these, you may get something else. Then you try to hand over this one to the exception, because this is the base one, right? So under exception, you'll get all the other things, right?
Yeah.
All the other things will be handled with the exception here. So that is what I'm trying to mention here. So except then exception, I'm attaching it to the exception, which is a base class. So under that, if you get any, and it is going to create an object in the backend, right? That object I'm like passing on to the E, and I'm just printing that one here. That's it. So I need to put F here, then only this will be treated as variable. Otherwise, no. You guys know that one, right? So the typical programs looks like this actually. Okay. Now let me try to create a execute this one. Okay. Now see here, I created a function. Now what I will do is first I'll try to pass here. 10 I'll pass here, 0 I'll pass here. Now tell me if exception rises in this line, I'll try to give you multiple scenarios here and try to answer that one. So if I execute the function with these inputs, what will happen here? Which lines will get executed here, and tell me. Okay, so first of all, I'll try to execute this one, last line. Then what will happen here?
Else condition will print.
Else condition it will print, huh? Else condition?
Finally.
So it will execute the try block. Since no exception is there, it will directly come to else block. I told you already, if the try block is successfully executed, directly the control will be passed on to the else block. Okay, and after that, will it execute finally block?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
What did I tell you sometime back? Whether
Irrespective
exception
of-
raised or not raised, irrespective of that, finally block will be executed. Okay, now let me execute this one. See here. Oh, sorry. I need to execute this one, right? Now see, execution completed. And after that, if you have something else, let's say, I just want to write here, print of, what I want. Okay, I need to put one more. Oh, yeah. Okay. So in the F here, last line of the program. Like that, I wanted to write. Okay, now will it execute this line as well after final block?
No.
No? Come on, guess it. Even if you give wrong answer, I don't mind it all. Come on,
I
you're
guess
learning.
no.
No, it's not, Siva. It's under try block.
It should be under try block. So this is not my risky code, right? Why should I put this one under try block? See, after try actually, see, I'm telling you again, if you have 100 lines of code actually, you don't need to put all 100 lines of code under try block. You put only a risky code. Let's say only 10 lines may raise the exception. You put only that 10 lines here. Remaining code you can put after the try block. Yeah, happily you can put it.
Yeah.
Then once this get executed, I know that it will go to the else block, and after that rest of the program like execution will happen properly. That means this line also will get executed now. Did you get my point?
Yeah, I understood.
Now I'll recreate the function here and I'll try to execute this one. See here, last line of the program also displayed or not? Yes. It has come out of this try block completely and it started executing the next lines of the code.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Now. Okay, now let me comment this line and try to execute this one. What will happen now here? What will happen here? Which lines will get executed now? Come on, help me. Come on, help me.
Type error.
7, sure.
Type
Type
error.
error. Type error. Why type error? Will it go to the
Two
zero
is
division
a
error?
string.
Value error.
Two is string.
That is
Two
the
is
Will it go to
value
the
error.
zero division error?
String.
Will it go to the zero division error?
No.
No. Okay. First, it will check the actually try block. In the try block, since it cannot divide number with the string, it will definitely throw the type error or value error, whatever it is. Okay. And it will check corresponding exception class. If any class is there matching with that, then it will check that one. So since this is not matching this one, it will not execute this one. So since it is matching with this one, it will stop the execution here only. Okay. So since the exception is handled here, it will it execute the else block?
No.
No, Shiva. 10, it will go under 10 exception block. Value error.
I told you already, if the try block is getting executed successfully, then only it will come to else block. I told you clearly that point. Now exception raised here, finally block will be executed.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Execution come. Now, after that, will it execute this line as well?
Yes.
Yes.
This line as well?
I think no. No.
No, it will execute.
No.
No.
It will execute. It will execute.
It will execute, right?
Okay.
Because you're handling that one right here.
Yeah.
See, I told you the concept of exception handle is to have the graceful execution, right?
Yeah.
Smooth execution, right? It will execute smoothly until this line, and after that it will come here, right? Definitely. Now let me execute this one. See what is happening. Oh, sorry. Now see, both inputs must be numbers. This is matching with this one. This is matching with this one. Definitely. Okay. Now it is coming to this one, execution complete. That means finally block got executed, and the last line also got executed here. I wanted to put one more error here. That is type error. Let's say value error. Sorry. Value error. Now both inputs must be numbers. Must be numbers, not okay. I'll just try to put both inputs must be numbers, not strings. Something like that I'll put. Okay. Now you can write like this actually. If you know possible exception classes, you try to handle that one. If nothing is matching, actually, you try to put that. Okay. If you don't write this one, what will happen? I'll show you here. If you don't write this one, now will it go to this one or this one or this one? I'll try to tell you. So what I'll do is, in place of this one, I'll just try to mention like this. What will happen here? Which lines will get executed now?
Exception.
Type error. Type.
Which one?
Yeah.
It will come to exception. It will come to exception.
Type
Basic.
error.
No, type error only.
Type error. Okay, let me check that one second. Must be numbers. Yeah. Type error only it is taking here because it's a string, right? In which case we'll get the value error. In that
Do
case.
one thing, Shiva. Or else remove the type error, then it will go to exception, right? If there is no
that
type
also
error.
we can. That also we can do. That also we can do. Now consider I did not handle the type error or value error.
Now it has to print exception.
It has to definitely go to the exception block. Because the base exception is actually this one, right? Okay, let me execute this one. See here. So I'm recreating the function and I'll try to execute this one. See, I'm in except block unsupported. I'm printing this error message, right? So that error message is actually this one. So unsupported operand type int or string. Getting my point? See, if this is not matching, by default it will come. Okay, now I'll ask you a question here. Can I write these two lines? Okay, here. Okay, can I write like this? What will happen if I write like this?
So I think it will go.
Okay, so this time actually, I'll not execute this line. I mean, I'm just asking you a question. If you know, you can answer. Even if you don't know, if you give wrong answer, don't mind. I don't mind. Now tell me, what will happen in this
What is
case?
the question? I missed it.
Question is actually base exception. I kept it first. Okay, later, like known exception classes, I'm just trying to handle here.
Okay.
then what
I
will
think
happen?
it will take first base exception. So,
Base exception only?
Yes.
Anybody?
yeah.
Base exception only.
Hmm.
Under base exception, we have multiple, right? Zero division. It will take base
uh,
exception.
uh. And it will not come to the zero division error. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly. That is correct. Now I'm recreating this one and I'm trying to execute this one. See, I'm in except block division by error. Division by error is the error message.
Yeah, in
I'm in
first
except block.
section we are
This is
checking
getting
it.
executed. Now you'll ask me a question. So this is matching with this exception class, right? Why did it not come to this one? Boss, it is matching with this one also. Because base exception is the base class actually. Under that, I have a hell lot of exception classes are there. It is matching here only, right? That is
Yeah,
the
it's
reason
a top
why
class.
base exception always you have to write at the end. At the end, that is the rule. That is the rule. That is the rule. I'm telling you. Base exception always you need to write at the end. Are you getting my point? Did you get the reason why I'm putting it last? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So let me execute this one now. Now, once again, I'm recreating this one. So if you want, I can click on this run button. Now, if I try to execute this one, now see, error cannot divide by zero. So cannot divide by zero. Where did you write one? Here we have written. So it is matching this one. Base exception, never ever write directly here. See, if you don't have this one directly, you can write it base exception. That is okay. That is okay. That is okay. But if you know these kind of things, and don't write the exception, base exception directly in front of this known exception class. Before known exception class. Don't write it. Did you get my point? Now you
Yes.
understood the flow, execution flow. Are we good with this?
Yes.
So, so this is what we understood, right, with this program. Now I've explained everything here. Try block. What is try block? Okay. See, I mentioned clearly a try block must be followed by at least one except block. At least one except. If no except block follows, a syntax error is raised. It is common to have multiple except blocks following a try block. You can have multiple except blocks. It's common. Okay. So coming to except block, the except block must be placed immediately after the try block. Must be placed. That means except is mandatory. The except block can be followed by additional exceptor. Yes. That is what we have done now. That is what we have done now, just now. So handling exception typically done using the combination of try and except blocks only. If you write try, you have to write the except block.
Sure. Now try we have given it and we have written a piece of code. And then we know using that piece of code we are getting error. So we are using one except there. Again, we write a set of 10 lines of code. Again, we are expecting if something, it will catch in the except. So like that, we can put the main code as well, right? In the try and except in between.
Yeah. You can put it. No problem. You can put it. Try inside like nested tries also you can write it. No problem. So at the overall level, you can put one try. Okay. Under that, you can put 10 lines under one try. And leave the next 10 lines, and next 10 lines you try to put it under try except again. Like that, in a program you can write any number of try and except blocks. Nested way also you can write, normal way also you can write it.
Okay, sure, understood.
Got it right? If you want, I can show you that one also, typical example. We can ask ChatGPT, it will give that. Okay. So else block is optional always, it's not mandatory. But the else block executes only if the try blocks is completed. I was telling you that one only. But it's not mandatory. Okay. So except else block is optional, and if it is must be placed after all except blocks. After all except blocks only. and before the finally block, if present, if it is there. Okay, so finally block, I told you already, finally block is guaranteed to execute the regardless of whether an exception occurred in the try block, whether the except or else block was executed. Irrespective of that, whether it is raising an exception or not, then finally block will be executed definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
You've written finally and you didn't mention anything to print. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can put pass as well, no problem. Simply put
It
pass
won't.
here. Okay,
Yeah,
let
it
me.
won't display.
It won't display anything. Let's simply, I can put pass here, no problem. Now I can recreate this one, see, and I can create or execute this one. See, it's not displaying anything. In the
Okay.
final block, it is supposed to execute this one, right? I mean, print command, right? So it's not displaying anything. Simply, I'm putting pass here, no problem. Writing finally block is also not mandatory.
Mandatory. Yeah.
If you're handling, I mean, irrespective of that, if at all, if you want to do something, I mean, let's say in my coding, in my project, actually, what I'm doing is in the coding, actually, we keep writing actually logging. So in the
Yeah.
logging, what will happen in the Databricks, it will, until you okay, you need to write one command actually, that is logging dot shutdown. Okay, this is the method we need to write in order to generate the this one actually. I mean, log file. So until that, it keeps that logging message is in the memory. The moment it executes this line, it will write that um, uh, whatever the log messages are there in the buffer memory. It will try to dump it to the file, and it will create a logging file actually. If you don't write this one actually, it will not generate the logging file. Then you will not come to know what is happening in the code. So for that reason only, I am keeping this line, this code actually in the finally block. Did you get my point? The real time
Yeah.
scenario.
I got it.
So that logging, it will load into some log files or
Log file actually, correct. See, what I'm
yes.
trying to say is, so instead of these print commands actually, we write log dot info, log dot error, log dot something, we'll write it. What log does is, it will try to write that logging messages, whatever you're writing here, into a file. It is supposed to write it. But as soon as it executes this line, it will not directly write the data into the file. It will pull up or pile up all these messages into a buffer memory, and once it executes this line, and it will dump that that messages into a file, then it will create a log file. Did you get my point?
Yeah. So
Okay,
different log errors, different files if we want to mention based on the
only
uh,
one file we create. See, for
only
one
one file. Okay.
flow, we'll create only one logging file.
One login file. Okay.
Yes, sure.
Okay, got my point? Got the real time scenario as well?
Yes.
I'm closing this. Mm. I have already told you. Okay, different forms are there actually. Okay, one more thing, guys. Actually, so far I explained about the else block, except and everything, right? So finally, also explained, right? So if at all, if you want to raise the custom messages, okay, custom messages, not custom, like this one, custom exceptions. If at all, if you want to stop the execution then and there and raise the something, then you can write like this actually. I use this one many times in my programming. Okay, let me try to execute this one here. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, rise is a keyword actually which will be useful to handle that one, guys. Okay, so let me execute this, cut it, paste it here. Okay, so this is my code actually. In this code, what I'm doing is, if age is less than 0, I'm just stopping the execution here. Rise, the moment it sees that rise command, it will stop the execution here only. It will not execute the following statements. So rise. What do you want to rise actually? Value error I wanted to rise it. So value error is an exception class, right? To that exception class, actually, I'm passing this message so that it will try to print it. So in my actual code, actually, what I'm doing, print of check age of -5 I'm giving here. In the exception class, whenever the value error value occurred, actually, that I'm trying to copy that error message into E, that I'm trying to print here. Now let me create this function and let me execute this one and see what is happening. Age cannot be negative. So I'm raising this exception on my own, I can say. So rise is the keyword. Okay, example I'll tell you. If the source count and target count are not matching, I wanted to stop the execution there and there. Then what do? Do we have that corresponding exception class in the Python? No, no, we don't have. So I wanted to raise that one actually. I wanted to raise that throw the exception. Rise is only for throwing the exception. Did you get it? Okay. So yeah, so in this way we can mention, guys. Generally, I told you, right? Try exception class name 1, and if you know that one, or exception class name 2, and so on exception class name n. So if you know this one, this is form 1 actually. I can say, if nothing is matching, you can write even except base class exception as well here. Okay. So the example for this one is this one. Okay. Zero division error, value error, type error, whatever you want, you can mention here. Okay. So form 2 is handling multiple specific exceptions with a single exceptor. Okay. You can write like, sorry, you can write like this also, guys. If it finds zero division error or value error, if any one of the error occurs, then you try to print only one print command. This is also one of the approach. You have to put multiple exception classes in a parenthesis. You have to put like this. This is also one of the way to handle that exceptions. So any number of exception classes, we can write it here. Got this? And third one is actually as keyword. I told you already this one. So except value error, directly you can write value error colon also, or if at all if you want to print that messages, or if you want to print the object, actually you can write like this as E and error of E. That's what you need to write it. Okay. And fourth form is actually um, if you don't know any of the exception class, then you try to directly redirect it to the exceptor. That's it. Everything you redirect it to the base exception. That's it. That is a default except block, I can say, which can catch all the exceptions. Clear? So if you want, okay, so the typical real-time program looks like this case actually. So what we do is we are trying to read the CSV file from some location. DBFS is nothing but Databricks file system. Okay, so I have a file, CSV file. I'm trying to read that one. I'm creating a data frame here. Data frame is nothing but indirectly a table here. Spark.read.csv the of file path we give, and we will mention its properties, file properties actually. Header is there or not? You wanted to infer the schema or not? That and all I'll try to mention here. Okay, and file if it is reading successfully, it will try to print this one. So if any error occurs here, I mean, if any runtime error occurs here, it will try to, we are trying to handle here, file not found error. Okay. So it read the file, and there are some issues in the data. while writing it into the table. There are like some issues while writing it to the table, or while reading itself. File is there, but while reading the data itself, it has some issues. In that case, we'll get analysis exception. So if you know that one, you try to handle that one, or accept exception as you know already. If nothing is matching, if something is other than these two, if something is happening here, then you try to handle that one in the exception. And finally, execution is completed. Whatever you want, you can write it here.
Shiva, in analysis exception, if any of the columns has data issues or
Data
poor.
issues are while reading. So let's say some records are corrupted actually.
Mhm.
Okay, file is there, but instead of comma, you gave here, instead of comma, something else you have given.
Mhm.
Or some record itself is corrupted.
Okay. Like, okay.
Let's say you're mentioning the data type as date, but you're giving as a number there. Then got my point. So those kind of things actually comes under analysis exception. The typical, I mean, real-time programs looks like this actually. See, without try and except block also you can write the code, but it's not a good practice. It's not a good practice at all. Okay, so since Bharat was asking actually, he was asking me to explain the
Shiva,
nested
here, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
nested try block examples. Examples in Python. Yeah, so you can write like this, Bharat. Let me copy this one and try to execute it like this. We write it actually in the real time also. See here, this is the outer try block, except zero division error here. Okay, inner try block actually, also we can write it. Okay, something if at all if you want to handle here,
Yeah,
you can handle it here. Except exception, finally also you can write it here.
we can use it.
You want me to execute this?
No, that's fine, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, see, zero division error, division by error, error we are getting. Let's say if you're giving one here, then it will get into that one. See, inner block, inside the inner finally block, and the inside the outer finally block. Now see
Understood.
what is happening here when you give one here. What is happening here? Which blocks will get executed here? Tell me. The outer print command it is executing. Outer try block in the print command A by B is it is printing, and after that
Inner also it's
inner
executing.
also it will execute because it is
It
treating
also,
them as other statements only, right?
Yeah.
Other lines only, right? It is stating them as other lines only. Okay. Then it will try to execute the this is
Final.
inner try block is there. Okay, this will get executed. So did it raise any exception here? No, right? So will it get executed this one? Will
No,
it execute this?
no.
No. So will it execute the final block? Whether it
yes.
is rising exception or not, irrespective of that, finally block will be executed. That is the reason why inside inner final block also got executed. So it got executed smoothly. Then will these lines get also executed? No, because 10 by 1 is smoothly executed, right? So zero division error, you will not get it. Then irrespective of the exception here, the finally block executed. That is the reason why outer block also will got executed here.
Yeah, if you give b equal to 0, Shiva, like,
Now b equal to 0 means what will happen here? See? Now you tell me which lines will you're anticipating here.
yeah, 6 will be there, and 8 will be there.
6 will be there. Uh-huh. 6 will be there. Why 6 will be there?
6,
6 it will not come to 6, right?
okay, sorry, a by b, right?
A by
So
means it will stop there only, right?
stop there and come to
It
11.
will come out right from there.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It will
It
come
will
out
come out
and it
and
will hand over to the acceptor.
at outer block.
Final block will be division by 0 and inside outer final block will get executed here.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me execute this one. See, division by 0 inside outer final block. Now inner try block will not get executed.
Yes, it will come out of it.
Only first try has ran it and then it takes error, so directly jump into the final.
Exactly. I told you already, whenever a runtime error occurs, it will not execute the following lines. Whenever the exception occurs, the following lines will not get executed.
Okay, sure.
Shiva, in your rise exception, you rise value error something that is built in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Custom exceptions, if at all, if you want to
custom
throw,
exception
then
also
we
you
have to
can.
use rise.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. So this is exception handling, guys. So I hope I explained it clearly. This is more than enough actually to handle your real-time scenarios. More than enough. So one more concept is left over from my list actually, that is logging. If possible, if I get time over the weekend, then I'll prepare a material for that and I'll try to explain that one in the Tuesday. So
Logging
no,
ante?
sorry,
What is logging?
logging, log file creation.
Log. Acha, acha, ada.
While executing, what are all the things that happening in the code, right? That we have to log it actually. That's what we do in the real time as well. Okay, so if I get a time, then I'll try to explain that one. Otherwise, I'll directly start the Spark concepts on Tuesday. Okay. Monday, no class case. Next Monday, no class. Okay, let me stop recording it.